Yo, my name is Jose, and I've been making kill switches for the Q50 and Q60. So you've probably seen me tagged in a lot of posts recently on Facebook in the last couple months in regards to when they asked for kill switch information, or you've probably seen me post about my kill switches um, when when I'm trying to advertise them, trying to sell them. So I'm here to make a video kind of as to why I made the kill switches, how roughly they're stealing these cars, what I offer, and what other options are there, and try to answer a bunch of questions, right? This video is intended to just hopefully help the community out, right? So, just a tiny bit about myself. First and foremost, this video is strictly my opinion. Um, my products that I sell um, are made by myself. They're not affiliated with the brand. In any which way. I do work for a retailer. I've worked for the same retailer for the last almost 14 years. I've used that knowledge that I've acquired there to help make these products, but it's not associated with it. With that said, let's get into it. So, first and foremost, there's two main Infinity groups, right? Where everybody hops on for Q50 and Q60. We've got the Infinity Q50 Q60 Club, which is owned by AMS. Shout out to AMS, still wait on your turbos, whatever. You know who you are, I've talked to you. Um, and then there's Infinity Q50 Q60 group, also on Facebook. And then there's all the sublet groups, the local area groups, the smaller ones, the VQ boys, the ones for the G's and everything. But this information right now stays roughly for the Q50 and Q60. Some of it transcends over to the Z's, uh, both the new one and the previous ones, 370, and some to the G's. But these groups have 73,000 members in this group registered and 44,000 members plus in this group registered. That does not mean that between both of them there's 120, 111, whatever the math is, thousand owners in here. But what I'm getting at is these groups is where we go and post things. So when a car gets stolen or an engine blows or a belt slips or a valve body goes out, the information circulated in these groups is to a small amount of people compared to the grand scheme of things, right? I don't have the exact numbers on how many Q50s and Q60s have been sold since 2013 when they went on sale, but I assure you that it, these groups represent 5 to 10% of the owners of these cars in the real world, of active members that are spreading information. Positive information, maybe negative information, maybe information that could go both ways, just opinionated information. Regardless, is we are only privy to the information we have here. So I say that because I don't want you to think that these vehicles are the most easily stolen vehicle in America. They don't rank that high. They are probably in a top 10 list right now, but not because of fault of vehicle. What I mean by that is roughly about a year to 2 years ago, in that time frame, all over the news and all over social media, you saw people having their Kias and Hyundais stolen. Now, without getting into all the details of that, that was the result of, from what I know, could be wrong, but from the information I gathered, the result of the vehicles not being installed with the proper equipment. Whether it would have been for reasons to maximize profit or to streamline production, those thefts are a result of something with the vehicle that made them easy to steal. Okay? The Qs don't have that problem. The reason they are stolen easily is because tools that are available to help the sector that works on these vehicles, from the private sector to the business sector, the mechanics, the independent shops, the dealerships, even those tools are now available to the general public. Maybe they've always have been, but they were at an unobtainable price, and it was you had to go direct. Now you can get them indirect. Indirect usually means like Amazon, AliExpress, eBay, Alibaba, maybe the Timus and all that stuff of the world. But there is nothing preventing anybody from buying these tools. Not necessarily illegal to have these tools either. Let's pretend I wanted to buy a lockpicking set. Maybe it's illegal to have that unless you're a certified locksmith. And I don't know if that exists anymore or that's a thing. I'm sure there is. But if I can buy it on Amazon, which I have, it's between me and what getting caught, right? Same thing with these tools. On the dealership level, we have tools directly designed by the manufacturer to work on these cars. On the private sector or the independent sector, companies come out and buy software from the manufacturers to make a product that's universal. They'll go to Ford, they'll go to GM, they'll go to Nissan, they'll go to Toyota, the Hyundai Group, the Stellantis Group, all the Germans, and buy a certain amount of information from them, uh, and put it all on things like these tablets. Well, these companies here will then make different products. They'll make a universal tablet that does everything, one that does strictly diagnostics like OBD2, one that like this one that's strictly for keys. They'll make multiple versions of it. At the end of the day, this company isn't doing anything but trying to maximize profit. These are the tools that are available now to the everyday person. Therefore, that's how they're stealing these cars. It's not because there's something wrong with the car. Now, you might be saying, okay, well, now how come I'm not seeing my neighbor's Chevy Malibu stolen and they targeted my Q50? It's simple. Other than the four-cylinder Q50, which mostly nobody bought, that's in these groups, and even then, they are still a rear-wheel drive based vehicle. Half the country, they're rear-wheel drive, the other half they're all-wheel drive. They are fun cars to drive, and they all generally have close to 300 pounds of torque and at least 300 horsepower. Sure, the VQs were 327 and the Red Sports are 400 and the 3.0s are 300, but it don't matter. They have good amount of power to have fun, right? Even the four-cylinder had mid 260s, 270s in torque, 200 and some odd horses. They're still fun to drive. They're still quick. They're sharp looking, but not so sharp looking that they stick out. They're common. So put yourself into the shoes of the thief. You're driving down the street. You're walking down the street. You're trying to score a car. What's more likely to A, cost more or be more fun or have valuables that cost more inside of it? A Chevy Malibu or a Q50? Q50. Now, what's going to be quicker to get away with or get away in, like taking off? The Q50. Um, what is modified more commonly? The Q50. What are even modified? Expensive wheels on it, a body kit, more power. Now, the guys stealing these aren't sitting there stealing them and driving them forever and showing up to race wars on Friday in Mexico. They're more than likely stealing them to go to some type of takeover event, or to do something else with it, and they want a quick car to get you away. that moves pretty quickly. That's the majority of the type of theft. Or they're stripping it for some parts that they want or they think can flip. Now, in this world where people steal these cars, there's a small group of professionals, and I call them professionals because these guys are out there to steal these cars, not just these, but these they steal them and they part them out. Maybe they're shipping them out to other countries where they don't sell them anymore for a premium, but more likely they're selling everything they can that's untraceable. That's a high-end network. That's a high-end sophisticated group. Um, they're gonna have more tools that are available that you know is available to the public maybe, but you got to search a lot more, or it's super expensive, or they're homebrew stuff. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the average dude just trying to get one up, right? Um, they break in. The most common way is they break in through the sunroof because it doesn't trigger the alarm. They plug in your OBD2 and force a new universal key in and take off. Most of the tools that are available let you program a key, the basis of a key for that car, and most of them are universal from a certain range. All you have to do is hop in and pair the key to the car. I know this. I bought one of the tools. I haven't done it yet, but I've followed the instructions. I've read up on it, and a lot of cars have that ability. I can pre-program a Honda key. I can pre-program a GM key. Ford's a little tougher, but it's in there, right? That's how they're doing it. Now, I'm not doing it. I bought it just because I wanted to see how that side works. My whole thing is I want to see what I can offer to deter that. But I also want to see if it was as easy as I'm saying to buy these programmers, and it is. So again, these cars aren't stolen because there's a fault with the car. It's just that if you're walking down the street and you could pick any car that you want, all the cars are boring except for this one. What are you gonna take? How you take it's the part where it gets legal, illegal, fishy, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so what else do I want to talk about in this video? Well, I get a lot of questions because I sell kill switches in my DMs. A lot of them are common questions. A lot of them are unique. Some of them are unique questions. Probably a question right there. And some of them are questions that I just can't answer because it actually goes against what I'm offering. And I'm not doing it to gatekeep. Okay. I might not share all the information about my kit. It's not to gatekeep. I could easily ask more money for my kit, and I can definitely get more money for my kit because I do believe my kits work. However, my goal with making these kits wasn't anywhere to make more money. Obviously, more money helps, and yes, it's a business at this point. But I started this journey on making these kits because I wanted to make sure my car wasn't stolen. I do live in an area where we have a little more freedoms than others. It's a very big area, and it tends to eventually pick up the trends from bigger cities. As of now, knock on wood, there really isn't much of a problem with the Qs being stolen here. Some are, but it's not the crazy epidemic that you see in Chicago, Atlanta, New York, the Cali area. And I say Cali because it's all over. And I know this because I have a lot of customers in these areas where I ship these out to. Um, it's only a matter of time before it really takes off here. But I wanted to protect my vehicle. No matter what you do, if they want your car, it's all time versus effort. A little bit of luck. It's a cat and mouse game. Wheels, okay? If anybody tells you a wheel lock and they say that that wheel lock will prevent someone from stealing your car, they're lying to you. A wheel lock will just slow someone down. Don't believe me? Pull up YouTube videos of wheel lock comparisons. They'll test the common one to the most expensive one, and even the most expensive one will be defeated. It just takes time. How much time they want to invest in it. Going back to the type of people that steal these cars, it's about how quick you can get the car, right? So any type of deterrent you throw in at them is just going to slow them down. Now, some are a little more sophisticated. They scope things out. So if you've got one of those steering wheel blockers or whatever, they see it. They'll come back with a sawzall, cut your steering wheel out, a couple portions of it, whatever. They really want your car, they'll take it. If you got a kill switch, if you got enough time, they'll find out where it's at. It all it's just you versus them, cat and mouse game. But most of them are going to stop when they run into a problem. A problem being a deterrent, my kill switch, or someone else's kill switch, right? Okay, so explain a little further. Okay, so let's take an example, my kill switches. I got two options, okay? The first one I launched was a fuel pump kill switch. The fuel pump kill switch was designed to just cut the power off of the or to the fuel pump. Old school. People have been doing it for years. What made my kit different was that I took the time and I went one step further and looked at the schematics of the car to try to find a point within the OEM harness that I could plug and play into. And I lucked out and found something. Then I spent my time sourcing the parts from the vendors that the brand uses. It was a pain. We got it done. Used my connections, my knowledge that I've had for working with the same place for years to get that done. And a little bit of luck. What resulted in was a fuel pump switch that does what it says. When you click the switch to off, the fuel pump gets no power, therefore there's no fuel being sucked up from the tank going to the injectors, no matter how much of a signal the vehicle sends. Is it perfect? It is not. It will never be perfect. Could have been perfect 10 years ago, 15 years ago when fuel systems were less complicated, but nowadays every system runs through multiple different computers, so therefore it does has, I wouldn't call them flaws, but some limitations. The problem with that switch, the main problem, was it didn't prevent them from breaking into your car, and nothing I sell or is available to sell is going to have that. And two, which is probably more important, because a sunroof, although it sucks, most time they just break the glass. You got to replace the glass, a few $100 if you're lucky. It's not that hard to install. The problem was when they get into the ECU with these devices to make a new key. If you're lucky to get the car back, regardless of whether you have a kill switch of mine or not, they end up getting into your car and they take it. You're more than likely going to spend money on reprogramming your keys or getting new keys. But sometimes they would fry your ECU because they didn't do it right or something happened. And then you're stuck with not just replacing keys, but then you got to replace the ECU or the BCM as we call it internally, whether or reprogram it. And old school dealership wants 2-3 grand. Dealership's taking my money. It's never ending, right? And it's at the end of the day, it's just not fair. You're angry, you're upset. On the dealership side, we're charging what we have to charge. It is what it is. Nobody wins. And then you take it home and they do it again. So that was a fuel pump kill switch, the limitation of it too. I don't know if it's happened to anybody that had it, but theoretically, they could break into the car even if it's on there. My fuel pump kill switch will stop them from taking the car. At worst, it's down the block, but most of the times it starts, or if it starts, it's just because of what fuel is in the rail, the pressure that's in there, the amount of fuel that's so much used to drive. Um, if it starts, if not, a lot of the time it doesn't even start. But you could still end up getting stuck with reprogramming keys, and they could keep doing it. They come back and hit you again and again and again and again, and every time you got to reprogram the key, or every time you gotta do a new ECU and you already know how much you paid for it. It's a never-ending cycle, right? So I didn't stop there. I was like, okay, I got the device that makes it so the car won't leave the vicinity. How can I make it so that they don't screw up the car more than just cosmetically? That's where my second kill switch came about. My OBD2 kill switch, if you would say. Some people have made kits similar. I took inspiration from other kits, but I applied it to the Q50. And that's why later in this video we'll talk about G's and other cars, but we're going to use the OBD2 kill switch as an example and lead into that. So, the OBD2 kill switch that I designed was designed for cutting the power to the OBD2 port. Why do I want to do that? Well, OBD2 ports are what they use to access the onboard computers. Everybody uses it. I use it in the um, to read codes when I'm trading for a car in to see what kind of check engine lights on there, because I know everybody's against dealers, but you sometimes get one. It's like, oh, it's just a fuel cap, and it's like cam sensor 3 on fuel bank 7. It's just what we use it for. My service uses it to diagnose problems, update the vehicles. Locksmiths use it to make keys. You know what an OBD2 port does, right? So by making my OBD2 kill switch, I wanted a way to just cut power to it so they can't access it to it. And I came up with two solutions within the kit. And I'm going to tell you what they are. One solution is a dummy solution where they'll plug in, they get nothing. Nothing at all. And the second solution is actual cutting of the power to that module. But I wanted a plug and play kit. Just like my fuel kit, I wanted a plug and play kit. Why do I want a plug and play kit? Well, I looked at myself and thought, previous experiences on working on things, what always happens? It looks simple, straightforward, and I find a way to screw it up. Luckily, in the past when I screwed things up, eventually I fixed it, but it cost me money. By that I mean I paid someone to fix my mistake. So by doing a plug and play kit, it's simple to plug in, take it out, no cutting wires, no splicing wires, no nothing. And I wanted it to be a simple on and off switch, just like the fuel pump. A toggle switch. On and off toggle switch. When it's on, it works. When it's off, it doesn't. So, I developed that kit, and what it does is simple. They go to plug in one of these, they get no reading. Maybe they find the first part of it, they find the actual OBD2, they plug into it somehow, they still get no power to it. If they didn't stop the first time, they'll probably stop the second time. Okay? Because again, it's about how much time they want to sit there, how much time they're willing to give before they decide, I'm going to get caught, I got to bounce. They don't want to get caught. They might be all tough and everything, but they don't want to get caught because they don't know who they're going to get caught by, how they're going to react. You can be in the most blue liberal state where you can't do anything, if you know what I mean. People still throw hands. If I was boosting a car, I want in and out with no repercussions, right? So I'm going to stop. That was the basis of my kits. How I decided these kits was they're going to stop at some point. Okay? Now, some of them are determined they're going to get it. Another advantage to my OBD2 kit versus my fuel pump kit was the remote start issue. Remote start works with the fuel pump kit until it runs out of fuel and then it dies. And trust me, it will die within 10 minutes. The longest I had let my car was able to run with the fuel switch on the off position. was a minute and 35 seconds idling. And then when I got in the car, or when I went to go start it, the car had a bunch of codes and actually went to limp mode. Never popped the fuel pump fuse, but that's happened to a couple people. And that's actually a pretty good deterrent, too, except for the fact that you then got to deal with the pop fuse and clearing the code. And if you don't have the right OBD2 scanner or OBD2 module to clear that code and reset it, then you got to go source it or you got to take it to someone that does. But luckily, as of right now, from what I can tell, it's never caused any permanent damage. Um, I can't promise you it won't, but out of all the kits, and I think I followed up with everybody, I think we're okay. Eventually, something will happen. It just things always do. But I understand the need for remote start. It's -5 degrees outside right now where I'm at. Okay. Sorry if I keep looking up. I got a monitor up here and I got the camera in between two monitors. So my OBS is up there, my recording software. So, um, anyways, yeah. So that's one of the disadvantages of the fuel pump kit. The ultimate advantage is the car does not leave the vicinity. On the OBD2 system, you can have the switch in the off position and your remote start will still work. So that leads to one of the first questions I get. I have an HP tuner, or more likely an ECU Tech USB dongle plugged into my OBD2. Is it still going to work? Yes and no, but it's simpler than that. Yes, as long as the switch is in the on position. No, if the switch is in the off position. That's it. Okay? Black and white, clear as day. So, when you buy one of my kits, what do you get? Whether it's the OBD2 or the fuel pump kit, you get an on and off switch. Your job, the hardest part of this kit, either kit, is where you put the on and off switch. And no, I'm not sending these. I have these, but that sticks out like a sore thumb in these cars. Um, you can literally pick and choose a swap. My kits are modular, meaning all you have to do is know how to cut and crimp wires or strip wires, and you can swap it out for whatever switch you want. But we'll get to that in a special part of the video because it ties into a question I get a lot. But the hardest part is for you to figure out where you're going to hide this switch. You got to factor in cleverness and convenience. And then you have to factor in who's watching you. Someone's always watching, okay? It's the freaking 21st century, man. Everybody's got a freaking phone. Everybody's watching somebody, right? So that's why question number 2. How come you're not posting where you how to install it or where you put the switch or whatnot? Well, because it's up to you to hide your own switch. And 2, out of 2 groups with over 50,000 members on average in each group, what makes you think everyone that's in there that's registered is legit not going to say anything? The thieves are in here. If I'm going to commit a crime, I'm going to scope out the area. I'm going to hop in these groups. They're doing it too. That's why we don't share that information. Now, there are times when people ask about a kill switch and someone won't give out information. I don't see that as gatekeeping, at least with mine. I don't think I'm gatekeeping because of what I just explained. But there's some people that are in it to make more money or make some money and they might not tell you at all and they want you to hit them up and they're going to do it. That's totally fine, I think. Just you have the option to buy from whoever you want to buy. I don't know how other kits work, but they do exist. Some of them that I know, little I know, are universal kits that are like disconnect the battery or whatever. Not saying those are great, not saying they're bad. I don't like the battery one for the fact that it always erases everything that's saved on your car, and they're usually wireless, plus they're cheap from China. I just don't want my battery shutting off, the connection to my battery shutting off while I'm driving. So that's why I don't like that one. If I come into a parked car and that thing malfunctions and I can't get my car to start, I'll be mad, I'll be upset, frustrated, but at least I'm not moving. It's when you're moving, right? That leads me to my next question that people ask all the time. Do you offer a wireless solution? No, but yes. Let me explain. Because I did make two prototypes that are wireless with multiple switches. Different, multiple different options to make these. The one that actually worked the easiest for me was this right here. Replacing my toggle switch with this. Okay? Let me explain what I did. I literally took, because my kit's modular, remember, don't overthink it. It's plug and play. Instead of plugging in the switch, I took one lead here and then the other lead there. And then all I had to do was find a power source, okay? Wish I had the mouse highlighted. A power source of at least 3.6 volts, which in cars, most time they're 12 volt, that's totally fine. And then a ground, okay? And when I did that, I then could click the on or off button there. And it would turn on and off the switch. Both the OBD2 and the fuel pump switch. Now, I can get these and start offering them. There are two things that stop me from doing it. Number one, it requires a constant power source to be on. Okay, and let me explain why that's important. The switch won't trigger if it's not on, so therefore you have to find something in the car that's always active. What if it's too much of a draw and it drains your battery? Because eventually your battery will drain if you let it sit for a while, right? Or if you park your car on Fridays and don't get back into it on Monday until Monday, maybe that draws too much power. Then what? I'll be mad. But more importantly, what if this comes loose as you're driving, or you accidentally hit the off button as you're driving? I'm not worried about the OBD2 kit, because that can be on or off without your driving. And besides just cutting power to the OBD2, I think it turns off a couple minor little things like the auto brightness for the rearview mirror and the side mirrors, maybe the defrost on the side mirrors. On the Q's, it's a little different. I get that information mixed up because on the G's, the solution I came up with currently knocks out a lot of stuff, or some of that stuff, so I get it confused. But long story short, what if you accidentally hit this on the fuel pump as you're driving because your keys are in your pocket? Or whoever's sitting next to you, what's this do? Or a kid or something, whatever. That's a liability that even though I'm not would be responsible, I just don't want to put that out there. But you can take my kit or a lot of other kits and do it. It's very simple. Provide a power source and provide a constant on or off, a common. So yes, you can make it wireless. No, I don't offer it. Now, that's one example. You can all these little options here. There's so many different things you can do. Um, so another question I get often too. Let's check the Facebook group, see if anybody had some questions. Okay, can I show with remote starting the car if functional still? So I don't have my car with me right now, unfortunately, due to just ice and has at the body shop. So I can't walk out there and show you a video. I do eventually will show you a video that way. I just want my car back so I can test some more products. But yes, in a way, let's recap that question. So this gentleman asked, Can you show the function, or can you explain the function, how it works for remote start? The kit you want is the OBD2 kit. Now, not saying you can't have this fuel kit, right? I sell it, the kits, either OBD2 or fuel pump or both, right? I call it phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 1 and phase 2 are the OBD2 kit. Phase 3 is a fuel pump kit. When you buy them all together, you get the complete package. And this is the sales pitch. I'm not trying to make it sound that way, but you got to think of the steps. The steps are: phase 1 is the deterrent, the dummy, that when they plug in the scanner, they don't get anything because it's a dummy they're plugging into. Phase 2 is cutting the power to the OBD2, so if they have enough time or are ballsy and stick around, they then don't do anything. And phase 3 is all right, I got you. I'm gonna get this car now, and then the fuel pump kicks in. And they're like, wow, what? Because the fuel pump uses OEM connectors, and I think I did a really good job of matching the OEM wiring. Unless they find the actual toggle switch, they're never gonna know where it's at unless they know what they're looking for. So phase 1, 2, 3, right? So let's plant the scenario how the OBD2 or the remote start would work. I'll give you two examples. One example using the OBD2 kit, one example using all three, or all three phases. Example 1, all this person has on their car is the OBD2 kit. Remote start will work whether this toggle switch is on or off. Well, that's a bad one. It's on or on. Let's go to this one. Whether it's on or off, the OBD2 kit will work, or the remote start will work. The factory remote start. I cannot speak about aftermarket remote starts. The reason I say that is because I don't know how they're wiring in. Although I don't think they're using anything that plugs into the OBD2, it's aftermarket. You have to check with them, whoever installs it. Factory remote start kit will work with the OBD2 kit. Quick side note about remote starts. If you have a 3.0 and maybe hybrids, but for sure 3.0, you have remote start built into the car already. All you have to do is get the right key fob and the access to the right software to program that key fob and click the button to unlock it so it installs. Okay? Just FYI. Not going to go down a rabbit hole about the cell phone app. That is specific gears only. We can ask me about that. We'll do another video on that. But if you have a 3.0 Q50, which is the majority of the Q50s sold in the Q50's existence, yeah, VQ boys, sorry. You have remote start, okay? With that said, back to the scenarios. Yeah, flip the switch, you got it. It works. Now, if you have the all three kits, or the all three phases, remote start will only work if the fuel pump switch is in the on position, aka not working. Whether OB2 is on or off doesn't matter. In scenario number 3, if you have the fuel pump kit switch only, it will not work if the switch is in the off position. If it's in the on position, it will, but what's the point of having the kit if it's in the on position while the car's parked? See what I'm saying? So to answer this gentleman's question, yes, it works with the right kit and using the right sequences. My phone keeps getting blown up. Let's make sure I'm not missing anybody. Did you send it? Sorry, it's shipping. Question. Okay. This gentleman asks, is it a key fob remote or a button to turn on the OBD fuel pump switch? Is it on or off or something else? And what kind of experience do I need to install it? To answer this gentleman's question, my kit is just going to be a simple toggle switch that works like this. Oh, blocking the camera, sorry. That works like this, but it's not that switch, okay? And rewind the video and go back to the wireless. And yes, you can make it wireless, but I don't offer wireless, okay? What was the last part of that question? Oh, how hard is it to install? Guys, I made it so that anybody can do it as long as you're comfortable pulling a couple panels. You don't necessarily need any tools, although a long uh, flathead screwdriver comes in handy, or a clip panel removal tool comes in handy if it's for the OBD for the fuel switch. But really, you don't need anything. The hardest part again is where you're gonna run the switch, where you're gonna hide it. Again, you got to be creative. You got to put it where you can access it. You got to put it where nobody knows where it's at, and you got to put it where you're gonna use it, right? So that's the hardest part. So anybody can install it. Some needle nose pliers, long needle nose pliers, like to pull fuses to type or to get in small little spots, could come in handy. But if you got some big old fingers or whatever, some sausage fingers, or whatever, that might help you. But no, you don't need any special tools um, or any expertise. You don't have to take it to a shop, but you can, and the shop might do a cleaner install. They might be able to, they'll if you want, they're more confident. They'll drill and cut and do whatever. I've got a couple customers that actually swapped to my on and off switch for like the SOS button, you know, in the car. I don't have no idea how that works. It's not a simple plug and play. I assure you that much. But they've retrofitted it, you know. Some have put it in places where you're like, you have no idea what you're looking at, and it's there, and only you know it's there. And of course, some have done wireless. So no, it's not hard at all. My kits are not hard at all. Let's see if there are any more questions before I get into the next couple things. This gentleman wants to know about the G's. Okay, so we're gonna get into the G's and the other cars in a minute. Let's see. I already covered that one. Hey, what's up, bro? Need a kill switch. I gotta get back to that guy. Okay, well, let's get into the G's. Why the G kill switch has not come out yet? Okay, so my current thought process on how I want these kits to work are plug and play, easy to install, and only do what I offer. Meaning only shut off the OBD2 or only shut off the fuel pump. I got lucky on the Qs, because the fuel pump harness that I'm using in the wire connectors, it's simple and it only targets that module or that part. And then same thing with the OBD2. On the Gs, it's like there's less wiring in the harness and the connections have additional inputs and outputs that I don't 100% know what all they do. And although I can find the connectors, I think the connectors are the same connectors I use now, and I could make leads so that you're not touching anything but the fuel pump. I don't want to do it because I don't know if there's extra voltage or amperage or whatever that goes through those that I don't maybe I don't necessarily have the right wire or the right pin or whatever. I don't want to screw your car up. And with the OBD2, same thing. The method I'm using on the Qs theoretically works on the Gs, but it knocks out more than just the OBD2. And I've got a list of what I think it locks out. I just haven't had access to a G for long enough to test it to make sure that those are things that are acceptable. For example, the part where I'm tapping into, and I say tapping, you're not really tapping in, but the part we're connecting to on the Qs only takes out the OBD2 port and I think maybe the defroster temporarily or whatever, or the brightness on the rearview mirror or the side mirrors. On the Gs, I don't know if it's taking out the locks, um, or or the lockout switch for the shifter. I mean, let's just say it takes out the locks, right? What does that mean? Does that mean that the car's permanently locked and the only way to get in is turning the key on your key fob, like the physical blade? That's not a bad thing, because once you get in, you flip the switch and your locks work. But what if you can't click the button to lock your car? You got to manually lock it. That's annoying. You're going backwards, right? That's not a big deal. But what if it's the other way around? Your car doesn't lock. Well, then they're just making it easier for the thief, right? So there's a lot more testing that has to go, and I don't have access to a G. My buddies that had Gs are unavailable right now. Plus, it's freaking cold, so unless I get a warm garage, in a few hours for the car, it's kind of tough. And although I work at a dealership, I don't think it's right if I sit there and start tearing apart people's cars where they're getting oil change for my benefit. Probably not a good idea. Hence why I haven't developed any extra things for the cars that don't have access to my car. I don't mind breaking my car. I'll take that hit, but even if someone says, "Yeah, I tested on my car," I still feel kind of weird about it. So I think we're on the path to offering it here soon. I've got some test units sent out so that people are willing to test it on their own car. Um, Hopefully, we have some better results, and I do think that by at least figuring out whether it's G35 and G37. Shout out to the 6 people that own G25s and the 19 people that own Q40s. If you get that joke, you get that joke. But I think that platform transcends to the 350 and the 370Z. So once we figure it out for one of those cars, I think we'll be fine on the others. But I'd like to test out the Zs. Um, I do think that if not one, but both of the current kits that I offer work on the new Z. If you're watching this video, I know it's a little long, but if you're watching this video and you have a new Z, hit me up. I got a couple questions. I do have access to a new Z, but it's a client of mine. He's super cool, but it's going to be until it's warm because he's got back issues, doesn't get out much, and uh, Z's are tight, and there's a lot to get in there to verify. But he has the best kill switch of them all, though, a manual transmission. If you know, you know. Okay. But yeah, that's why the G's hasn't come out yet. So now I had a gentleman also ask, and I'm not sure if he actually misspoke or not, but let's see. I have a 2017 QX50 now. Are the older VRTR models as susceptible? So I guess he's asking if older cars are and I guess he's asking about the QX50, which in 17 was technically still the EX, just with the new name because it said VHR and he said 17. And obviously Q50s in 17 were 3.0. So I believe so. So let me explain another part of this video of why this has become more popular. If you ever get on YouTube and watch like the self-reporting people, like the news people, self-made uh, news and documentary people that do it on their own, you've probably heard of a guy named Tommy G. So Tommy G came out with this video 5 months ago. It's called "The Most Wanted Car Thief in America." And I don't know if he is or isn't the most wanted car thief in America, but this gentleman does what I've been telling you throughout the beginning of the video and during here. Now, there's no Qs mentioned. No Qs were harmed in making this video, but what he does talk about applies to the Qs, and he uses these tools to make a key, um, and take off with the car, or come back later and get the car. You'd be surprised how many car lots run the old model of unlock the cars every day in the morning, and then go lock them up at night. Some car lots in part of the country still leave their keys on the dash and are on a trust honor system. At one point, somewhere I worked, or might still work, did that. That doesn't happen anymore because we figured out very, very early that's not a good thing. But regardless, some thieves steal cars from lots. They go and find an unlocked car, go make a key, make a copy of the key. That takes a little longer, but instead of making a new key that overrides your key, but they make a copy of the key, and then they come back later and take the car at night. That's actually not condone it. It's pretty smart, less risk, right? Um, but that's a whole different thing. So to answer this gentleman's question, let's assume that older model QX50, EX35, QX70, which is FX37, um, M35, M36, or 37, M45, M56, Q70s still have this problem because these tools, and I know this from a fact, will program a key because I have the tool and I've checked everything in there. That it's the software's in there. So yes. Now he didn't ask, but I assume his next question would be, do you offer anything? And currently no. But however, because the G's were on the same FM platform and architecture that the M is, the QX70, the EX, the FX, all those cars. Let me get into a little bit of the history of it. Infinity's prime heyday was when they used one platform, made multiple cars. The FM platform is responsible for anything G35, G37, G25, anything M35, 37, 45, 56, Q70, FX35, FX37, QX70, FX50, EX35, EX37, QX50 pre 2019, G convertible, Nissan 350Z, Nissan 370Z, and R35 GTR. Does that make sense? You read about how cars are getting on a universal platform. We already did that. Why it doesn't continue? Well, because the platform's old and we need to move on to newer technology. That's it. But I think by solving the G switch, we could see that transcend to other models. Uh, the EXs weren't the best looking cars, so if you own one, unless someone knows what they are, you probably aren't going to get your car stolen unless, again, they walk down the street and that's the most enticing car they want. So to answer that gentleman's question, assume that your car is easily stolen because of the software that's available. My phone just went off. Oh no, this gentleman. So it's okay. I won't show this guy's info, but this guy is that bought a kit from me. Was asking if I shipped it. I shipped him some extra parts because he's going to do something with it, and he'll share it with me. And it's more on the part where I think, um, it's not something I'd offer probably, but I think it's something that might clean things up a little bit. But he's an engineer of sorts, might have access to 3D printing, or he tinkers more than I do. So I just asked him if he had any other questions, and no, he's good. But that's the kind of thing about my kit. Um, People like this gentleman will go out and not this. Anyways, will go out and make it their own, put their own spin on it, right? Go for it. That's what I mean by modular kit. Okay, so I guess as of right now, there's no more questions, so I'm going to talk about other options that exist right now. So, um, let me show you this. Okay, ignition kill switch. Notice I type in Mopar. If you can't read it, it's right here. There's a reason for that. I am working on offering it on Chargers 300s and Challengers and Jeep Grand Cherokees and Rams because those are probably more stolen than the Qs. Okay, the same thing's happening over there. Now those guys do have a little bit of a tiny flaw from the information that I have in the build process. It's not ignition side or starting side like it was on the Kias, but it's the fact that you can put that vehicle in neutral really, really easily. Now, yes, you could put the Q50 in neutral without the keys. You just need a screwdriver, and a lot of cars do that. But the Mopars over there, at least the Chargers and Challengers, they made it stupidly easy from factory to the point where they sell not the factory, but a lot of people have come up with block off plates, right? And you get creative with those special security screws and stuff like that. Now, what does that mean? That just means they can roll your car. Now, I don't know if the roll what that means, other than if that's part of the process to make a new key or to start your car. uh, Maybe they're rolling jump starting. I don't know, like like when you have a manual car and your battery or starter's out. I don't. But I think it's just think about it this way: if they can roll your car down the block and mess with it out of sight, out of mind, they have more time, right? Or they can roll it out of a spot and tow it. So, but I have seen ignition kill switches. Now, I'm going to show you something that is available on the internet. Um, and I wish it wasn't shown. I don't know this creator, but I wish it wasn't shown. But I get why he showed it. He sells more that way. This one here, and I'm not going to, for out of respect, I'm not going to show you the whole kit. But if you open that link and find it, flat out tells you what he does and what it does and everything. Same basis as mine. You find the toggle switch, you hide it somewhere. But he made a harness that um, cuts power to the actual ignition switch, the push button and the turn. That exists. It's been existing. Now, on the Qs, there's nothing out there like that yet. I said yet for a reason. I won't drop any more. You'll catch on. But it can be done. But that will require splicing currently until the new solution comes out. Now, you're probably thinking, what's the benefit of that? Let's say we applied it to the Qs, right? Remember earlier in the video I told everybody that there's two types of criminals stealing these cars. The sophisticated one that are doing it to making money and um, shipping cars around the world or stripping them. And then the most popular one is the one doing the OBD2 thing, right? Where they make new keys and they don't care if they damage the car or whatever. The groups that are doing it as an enterprise and stripping these cars or whatever, they have tools that they don't have to program your key. These tools are very expensive, they're hard to find, but they are available, and it requires a little more balls, per se. This is what I mean. You park your car outside, in the driveway, on the street, in your garage. If it's on the street or in your driveway, you've got some distance between the car and the thief, right? With the method they use, they have this antenna that basically copies a signal at real time and sends it back to the car or to a laptop next to the car, and the car thinks the key's right next to you. They start the car and go. These cars and most push button cars, you don't need the key to drive, you just need it to start. I do not know of a single car, but I know there probably is, that needs a key inside the car for it to move at least over 5 miles an hour. Most of them, you don't need the key, you just need to start it. But once you start it, you can't shut it off, right? Unless you have a key. So you start it, you steal it, you drive until you get to your destination as a thief, and then you go make a new key, right? That is a very quick way to do things, a very clean way to do things. It's a very expensive way to do things. I think if we offered a solution like this gentleman's ignition source switch, which might be offered right now anyways, in a splice method, that solution might stop that from happening. Okay? That scenario from happening. I'm trying to, because that's the last scenario that none of my kits will prevent. What you can do to hopefully prevent that is lock your keys in some type of Faraday box. Something that a Faraday box is something that blocks a signal, whether it's lead lined or whatever. It blocks a signal. But there is also things like the Flipper Zero, and now I'm not trying to hype up and the Flipper Zero and say that it does more than it can, but again, Tommy G showed a recent video with a known hacker, and he was able to copy somebody's key fob. It wasn't an Infinity, but he's able to walk up to the car and unlock it. Whether he started, I don't know. I think he said he might be able to with enough time using his Flipper Zero, but that's the last part, in theory, from what I can tell, that isn't available. But the chances of your car being stolen by those people are a lot slimmer than the people breaking in with the OBD2 and making new keys. But if we wanted a fail-safe solution, or well, a better solution, that's the next challenge we have to tackle, along with the G's and everything. Um, but we're working on that. And this could be a third option. Could be just the option you need. But again, let's say you have that. Well, they might still make a new key, might still break your ECU. But if you only had an ignition switch, kill switch, then they just can't take the car at all. So something to look at. And yes, I'm working on Mopar. That's why I went into that. I'm trying to see solutions for that, options for that. I just got another message. Let's see if anybody's got anything. Come on. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay, no. Okay. So, I think we've got. Okay, so, one question I get asked all the time, and I don't know if I covered it, but how come you don't give me the video? How come you won't post a video how to install it before I buy it? Well, because I don't know if you're gonna buy it. What if you're the thief? You got to understand why, right? That's exactly what it is. I don't. It's not that I don't trust you. I just don't know you. Um, how come you don't post pictures of where you install the kit so everybody can see how they work or how the kit looks? Again, I actually have posted video, but you don't know what you're looking at. So that's the purpose, right? Um, it's it's a cat and mouse game. You're trying to be, you're the mouse, they're the cat. You're trying to get caught. So, the message, jeez. What other ways can I prevent my car from being stolen? Okay, so, um, you can still deterrents. Okay, deterrents are the best thing ever. That's what my kits are. Deterrents at best, but it's a, how do I say it? People focus on one thing, right? And if you have their attention enough, you can do things in the background other hand, and get away with it, right? You could put a club in there for the ignition, a club there for the ignition, or the steering wheel club as a, a carrot for the rabbit over here, and then everything else is over here, right? You can have a kill switch, you can disconnect the battery. Um, they're focusing and think the challenge is just a club, and then they get hit with, man, now the car don't start. Get a club. They have pedal locks. You can put a boot on your car. It's your car. You do whatever you want. One thing a lot of people don't think about, and this is genius, get mini chocks. What I mean by chocks is little triangles, pieces of wood or hard rubber that go behind the wheels, right? And the only option, or in front of the wheels, doesn't matter. And if you put them on all four wheels, it's nearly impossible for the car to go over them, backwards or forward. You just gotta, when you put them on, make sure nobody's looking at you and sees you do it. Then you gotta take them off. That's something you could do. Um, if you are an air ride, if you have an air ride management system that only works with an app, or you can make it only work with your app, slam the car in the ground to where it's undrivable, or take your controller with you. I don't know how easy it is to plug them and unplug them and plug them in, but yeah, do that. Um, there's so many little things you can do. Now, there's other things too. I think they call it the Trackhawk kill switch. Yeah, look up Trackhawk kill switch. These also have, I believe, a GPS. Now, this requires probably some hard wiring and stuff, so the shop's probably going to install it for you. And they probably, I think, are some type of immobilizer. They cut fuel or ignition or something. They tell you where the car is at, whatever. Look into that. Some guys are doing that. I haven't done this because I don't want to screw up anything wiring wise. Uh, but I am going to drop you a tip on GPSs. This comes from the bike world, okay? Everyone wants to drop an AirTag or a Samsung version, and nobody knows those, but Samsung makes the Galaxy tiles or whatever. Um, but the AirTag, everyone's familiar with AirTag. The thing is, AirTags will ping any Apple device or even Samsung these days if you're near one and it's away from the main phone it's paired to. So when they steal your car, they're gonna get notified there's an AirTag in the car. Now, it's not the end of the world as long as you're creative in hiding it, but then they know there's an AirTag in it, right? People get vengeful and they might screw your car up further just to get away, just to get at you because they know you're eventually gonna find your car. So try one of these. I always forget the name because I own like three of them. Uh, where the heck's it at? Oh, there you go. Monimoto. They have the 7, and I actually like the 9. I use the 9 on my motorcycle, and I've used it on other vehicles. But here's why I like it. This is the 9. It's only like $50 a year. This thing is small, and this thing goes in is a key fob. Okay. Now, this is how it works. It's simple. This runs off USB-C power, just like your phone or most phones. It has a built-in battery that's good for almost a full year, and maybe it might be longer than that. So you don't have to charge it, but you can hardwire it. But you hide this anywhere in the car, and it only activates when this key fob is not within range. Okay, that's when it's on, when the key fob is away. So if the vehicle moves at all, your app goes crazy, you get a phone call, and you get a text message. And that indicates that the vehicle is stolen. It's got motion sensors built in. It does not notify anybody in the car. There's no alarm on it. It doesn't ping your phone like an AirTag. Yes, you pay yearly a fee for the LTE, the 4G, but it works almost anywhere in the world as long as there's cell signal. Real-time tracking. Um, it's crazy. That's what I recommend. Then just put it somewhere where it's hard to get, but somewhere you can still charge it when you need to. Turn on the app. It tells you when you need to charge it within time. It tells you when you got to pay for the subscription. This is a key fob battery. No, you see this on your key. Nobody knows what it is. Best option out there for a GPS, I think, because it has no extra wiring. It doesn't tell anybody. You don't tell anybody where it's at and all that stuff. So this is a very strong option. Why do you want a GPS tracker? Well, if your car does get stolen, you can notify the proper authorities to go get it. And I don't condone this next part. Or you just pull your pants up and go get it yourself, if you know what I mean. Anyways, it's an option. Uh, Good option. Real good option. If it fits in a bike, it'll work good in a car. Well, we got anything else? We'll check. Otherwise, this video's gone too long. Um, yeah, okay. So, I'm done rambling. I think I've covered everything. Um, there's a couple more things I want to cover that are quick and easy. What do I get in my kit? You get, regardless of which kit you buy, you're getting instructions, video instructions, and you're getting something on paper that lets you join my Telegram group where we can discuss things, ask questions. There's other members on there, bounce ideas off each other. But in the kit, you're going to get your toggle switch. You're going to get lead extensions, so that you can run. I include enough wire right now to run it from where you install the kit, the physical kit, to be able to run the switch, let's say all the way to the trunk. Now, I'm not telling you to put it in the trunk, but I gave you enough so you can put it in the trunk. It's all, you get two 50 some odd inch leads that are plug and play that make 100 inches or whatever. So you can be creative. You can run it to the glove box, you run it to the passenger seat, under the driver's seat, armrest, wherever. You also get zip ties to make a clean install. You can't be sloppy with it, man. You got to make it look clean, because let's say they go looking for it. Factory uses zip ties, right? Hide the cables behind original factory cabling. Make it straight. Take the extra effort. Make it look good. And you will get on one of the kits, you get a couple extra items uh, that make sense when you watch the videos. I ship out the next day, usually. Um, how do I take payment? PayPal, Zelle, Cash App, uh, Venmo. Some people have paid through Facebook. I know that was a thing. I don't have Apple Pay, but I can take Apple Pay. I got relatives, whatever. Why don't I have an Etsy store? Some people won't buy from me if I don't have some type of website or Etsy store, or some type of link where they can do an automated process. The reason for that is because I'm not selling enough to pay for the websites or to pay the commission to those third-party options. It's not that I want to screw you over. Um, totally, if you want to pay with PayPal, friends and or goods and services or whatever to get the protection, go for it. You know what I'm saying? That's between. Now, nobody likes taxation, so taxation is theft. You get what I'm saying? But I'm not here to screw anybody over. Um, if you want to buy more than one for whatever reason, I'm open to giving you a better deal. Um, I'm not the only person selling kill switches, okay? I sell my products, but I'll never knock someone else's product, because I'm not in it to. This isn't my main job, and I think that's kind of sloppy. Um, if we start offering more platforms, I'll look into making some type of automated system, like a website or an Etsy store, an eBay store, um, Shopify, whatever. But right now, it doesn't. I don't think it benefits me, um, because it's not a full-time gig for me. It's a hobby. Uh, but yes, that's why I don't have that. I understand if you don't want to buy for that reason. Totally get it. Um, if you are, let me know where you're at, and I know a couple people doing kits, their own kits, and I can point you in the right direction. Um, or if you find something that you think might work and you want my opinion on it, send me a message. I'm here to help the community out. Let's see. Just got off work. Who's this guy? This guy. I have a website I can see the hardware at. Just unfortunately, I do not. Um, again, I've explained that reason why early in the video, but I'll give you a quick little recap of that. The reason why is just because people that want to steal these cars, if they're smart, they're in here in the groups looking for it. They're probably watching this video. Um, it's just that's what they're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I don't want to sell a product and then give up the instructions on how to do it. Then people's cars get stolen. So, what else? Warranty? No, I don't offer warranty. Unfortunately, I mean, uh, well, I kind of do, I guess. I mean, if my product fails or doesn't work, yeah, I got you. I'll take care of you, whether it's a refund or I send you another kit. Yeah, but I mean, I can't warranty your car. Um, I don't think you can screw anything up by installing my stuff, but sometimes the switches, the actual toggle switches, have come defective, or somebody doesn't follow the instructions into when to have it on, when to have it off, and they'll pop a fuse, and I'll sit there and guide them and tell them what usually probably happened, and we'll figure a solution. I've helped people out. Um, but yeah, the last thing I want to say is I'm gonna show you a scenario or try to demonstrate a scenario how to use these kill switches that I offer, and any other kill switch. I think this could be applied to that. This practice is called practices. So my fuel pump kill switch, for example, don't start the car if the switch is in the off position. That's the thief's problem, okay? That's what it's there for. Can you test it out? Sure, just be prepared to clear the OBD2 switch or the plug into the OBD2 and clear the codes and possibly take your car out of limp mode, okay? So, you hop in your car in the morning, whether you have wherever you put your switch, you toggle it, you start your car, you go about your business. Whatever kit you have, okay? OBD2 kit, as long as it's on, ECU tech is going to work, or anything you got plugged into it. Fuel pump switch, car runs like normal. Leave it on. Somebody else's switch, if it says turn it on, if their instructions say turn it on while you drive, you turn it on while you drive. Okay? That's how I would do it. Number two, when you park, if my kits shut the car off, turn it off. Somebody else's kit, if they say shut the car off, turn it off, follow that steps. If they say turn the kill switch on or off or whatever, then shut the car off, follow their instructions. Okay? Only show the people that need to know where the switch is, where the switch is. Okay? It's not a party trick. That also includes your so-called friends. If you're young, you probably got a bunch of people around you. In 10 years, those people aren't going to be around you. It's just how life is. So don't go showing them where your kill switch is. Even if your buddy has a Q50 or a Q60, unless you absolutely trust them, still, don't show them where your kill switch is. Tell them you got one. Tell them where you got it from. If you like the product and if it works for you, share that information. Help them out if they need to install them. But tell them you decide where you put your switch. I know where I put mine. You put yours. Helps everybody out. Um, when you take your car in for service, notify people in service that you have switches, kill switches. That's what I mean by switches. We'll talk about the ones for the. Anyways, um, why do you want to notify them and show them how to use it? Because they leave your car outside. Okay, most of the time. Maybe they leave your car outside if it's an overnight thing or a long-term thing. Also, maybe they accidentally toggle it and then they can't get your car in or off their lift, or they have a bunch of issues and then they want to charge you more money to diag something that isn't real. So share with them that you have a switch and share your intentions with them about the switch, and ask them not to share that information with anybody that besides who's working on your car. Okay? Put a GPS tracker, whatever you want, even an AirPod or AirTag, um, if you want. But yeah, those are the best practices. Okay. With that, if you got any questions, let me know. If you want to buy one of my options, let me know. Um, I will make a follow-up video if we get enough questions on this for stuff that I haven't answered, and we'll make videos about future products here soon. Um, some exciting things I've got coming out. I'm testing out new intakes and new downpipes that are game changers, and as long as they fit, there'll be new options for the Q platform. I won't spoil who I'm working with on that right now, but these are items that will benefit the platform, um, and will add some bling to the car. Uh, and I'm working on more anti-theft solutions along with other platforms. So with that, thank you for watching. I'm sorry this took an hour and 22 minutes.